Don't know how I feel about this lipstick, and my hair looks a mess. So, must be a Q&A video. Last week I asked you to leave me questions down below in the comments, and I posted a thing on Instagram and a thing on my Facebook. So today I'm going to answer your guys' questions. And the first thing that I will say as a disclaimer is that I know I said I'm not doing a lot of Disney stuff on this channel, but I did get a lot of Disney questions, so I'm just going to answer them all here instead of making a second question thingy on Walt's Classics. So let's jump right in. Jenny Ray asks, when are you making your way back out to California so I can meet you in person? And that's a great question. I would love to meet you in person too. I don't really know right now. All of our money is kind of tied up in going to Walt Disney World at the end of the year, but we do have family and friends in California, so I think we might need to come back soon thereafter so that I can meet you and we can play in Disneyland and have a wonderful day. The next question comes from my friend Elizabeth. Hey Liz, and she asks, what is the first Disney movie I ever saw? And I honestly don't remember. No clue. I've been watching them since I was born, so I have no idea. Emily La Salento asks, favorite Disney princess? Rapunzel. And she also asked, how often do I go to Disneyland? Right now, not very often. I haven't been in over a year, which to most people is like a normal thing, but to me I'm like... But when I was living down in California and I had an annual pass, we got up to 50 visits in 1 year with our annual pass. And so in that year 50, but overall it's kind of been just depending on where I live. I've been more recently with Daniel since we've been together in the last 5.5 years than I was in the 5.5 years prior to that, because I moved up to Idaho and I didn't go at all when I lived up here. Jenny, Lil Ray Cakes on Instagram, also asked, if you could say something to Walt Disney in 10 words or less, what would it be? You've changed my life. Thank you so very much. Kendra Clift asks, what is your favorite ride at Disneyland and why? Love you. Love you too. Favorite ride? Oh no. I could narrow it down to the lands, but I don't know that I actually have one favorite overall ride. My head says Haunted Mansion, but my heart says the Teacups. One of those two. Kendra also asks, what ignores you the most about Instagram? I think it meant annoys, but autocorrect is in there. So what annoys you most about Instagram? I get it, but I don't like the sponsored stuff that will come up, because like all of a sudden it's like sponsored post from Target, and I'm like, I don't follow Target on Instagram. Why am I seeing that? But I mean, like, I get it. I get why it's there, you know, as far as like advertising and stuff like that goes, but I don't love it. But that's pretty much it. I don't know. I like Instagram. I use it all the time. I am Mary Friend asks, what Disney movie would you live in? Location, interaction with characters, etc. if you had the chance. I would love to live in the universe of Tangled, because I would love to just be able to like see Rapunzel and Flynn and Maximus and Pascal. But you know, I was gonna pick something else, but I can't think of another place where the villain in that movie doesn't just like completely destroy mass amounts of things. Like I was thinking Hercules would be pretty fun, but like Zeus just destroys just like lands and he sends monsters, and then like Ursula, like she's crazy. Love her, but she's crazy. And so I feel like Rapunzel's land and area would be probably the safest as well, because Mother Gothel is just, I mean, she's creepy, but she doesn't like massively destroy huge amounts of land. I think I'm gonna stick with Rapunzel / Tangled area. Disney Daisyland on Instagram asked me lots of questions, so let's begin. How did you start liking Disney? I have just always liked Disney for as long as I can remember, so I don't know what initially sparked my love for it. I'm going to guess the music, because both of my parents are musical and I've always grown up loving theater, so I'm assuming the music's what caught my attention first. What is your favorite color? It pretty much constantly switches between yellow or purple, and right now it's purple, but you know, yesterday it was yellow, so who knows. If you could be any Disney princess, who would you be and why? I want to say Rapunzel because I just love her so much, but then I also kind of like the idea of being Ariel because she's a mermaid, so mermaid. What is your least favorite Disney movie? It's technically a Disney Pixar movie, but I really don't like WALL-E, but also Planes, that was no, and Disney, just strictly Disney. Oh, Black Cauldron. What is your favorite Disney song? I will actually be answering this next week. Next week or sometime soon thereafter on Walt's Classics, I'm going to be doing a Disney music tag, so stay tuned. If you could make another land in Disneyland, what would you call it? My first initial thought was, okay, I have to make it something that's a pretty broad spectrum, but since I've heard quite a few rumors about the idea of Star Wars Land, which is not really a broad spectrum, that's very specific, I would say I would love to have a combined Wonderland and Neverland, so you could call it Never Wonderland, but you never have to wonder that it's going to be a good time. But I think that would just be really fun to have an area that's completely dedicated to Neverland with like the Mermaid Lagoon and Skull Rock and all that stuff, and then an area that is totally Wonderland with like, you know, the maze and just like cards everywhere and the Queen of Hearts, and I think that would just be so much fun. Next is, what ride should they make at Disneyland? And I think they should make the Emperor's New Groove ride that I have designed and planned out in my head. And my last question is from a girl named, I think it's pronounced Javansa. I have no clue if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and I'm sorry if I'm not. But she asks, what are my top 3 favorite movies? And it does not need to be Disney related. And she also asks, what's the craziest dream I've ever had? I honestly couldn't tell you what my craziest dream is, simply because I have such vivid dreams that last for what feels like 2 hours. I'm sure it's only like 5 minutes, but they're so in depth that every single time I have one, it's like the craziest dream I've ever had. And Daniel will just sit there listening to me like, how are you remembering all of this? Because if he has a dream that he remembers, it's very like vague. It's like, yeah, we were there and there was like this thing. But like mine is like, okay, so you, me, Brad Pitt, Brendan Urie, and Angelina Jolie. Like it's like very specific. I just recently had one where Daniel and I were getting married, but it like, again, like we hadn't had our first wedding, but it was like in a Game of Thrones style thing, and like all of the people in the county who were getting married at the time had to get married at the same time, and there was this girl that I didn't really like there, and she was getting married, and she kept like nitpicking that my wedding wasn't as good as hers, and I was like, I don't need you here. And all of the people who were supposed to be in my wedding weren't there, like except for Erica and Shelby, and like we were all there and we were getting married and we were doing this rehearsal, and for the rehearsal, or not for the rehearsal, for the wedding, like the boy had to prove that he could continue on being the prince, so he had to kill someone from your like land's jails, and the girl had to like sew this family crest thing together, and I was really upset because all my people weren't there that were supposed to be in my bridal party, so I was crying, and the guy was like, do you want to redo it? And I was like, yes please. So we walked back and started over so that I wasn't crying, and then my friend Aaron shows up and he's like, hey guys, sorry we're late, but I brought a couple friends, and he brought Daniel's cousin, well, one of Daniel's cousins, Bo Burnham, and somebody else. I don't remember who else, but it was just like, those are the kind of dreams I have, and that is like the condensed version, not even the really long version, and they're so weird, and I promise I don't do drugs. And last but not least, my top 3 favorite movies that are not Disney are, in no particular order, You've Got Mail, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and the Die Hard series. And that has been it. I hope you guys enjoyed this really random Q&A. I know it was a lot of Disney and a lot of just complete random and babbling, but thanks for sticking through it. I will be with you guys on Thursday with a vlog, and then next week with more random fun videos. I think that's it. So, yeah.